Okay, so now we're at the point where you are seeing this disagreement, and you have a conflict of vision with Bitcoin Core. So how do you go about looking at other projects, and what did you look into? I know that there was Bitcoin XT at the time, Gavin's project. There's
Yeah,
Bitcoin
Gavin and
Unlimited.
Mike Hearn.
So tell me about taking that step into looking into other projects.
There were a number of attempts to try to allow Bitcoin to scale to be money for the world. Bitcoin XT was one of them. There was another one called Bitcoin Classic that was change absolutely nothing about Bitcoin at all other than increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes. And so with my own tech business in Silicon Valley that I ran for, well over a decade, I saw firsthand, everything with computers got so much cheaper, so much faster, so much better. And one of the first memory modules I was selling was an 8 megabyte module, not gigabyte, right? 8 megabyte. And when I first started selling, they were like about $700 each. And by the end of my career with memory dealers, those same modules that I used to sell for $700 each were being sold for like 70 cents for a pound of them, right? So you get dozens of them for 70 cents, right? So each one was like less than a nickel at that point.
8 megabytes. This interview is going to be 10 times 100 times that.
Yeah, and so to think that 1 megabyte is the right block size for forever, that's just insanity for anybody that's been around computers for any amount of time at all. And I remember I ran one of the most popular bulletin board systems in Silicon Valley for people that are old enough to remember BBSs before the internet. And I remember, the first hard drive I bought with my own money was 850 megabyte hard drive, right? It was like $300, which was a huge amount of money back then. 850 megabytes. My iPhone can hold, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those today. So it's not even.
The question is, does Moore's law kind of hold true? Does that scalability hold true? I think so far we're seeing that, but I don't know.
Yeah, so it's been going on for decades and decades and decades, and I don't think it shows any sign of slowing down at all. And even if it's slowing down, it doesn't mean it's stopping, right? And we look at how much faster and better and cheaper everything is today than when Bitcoin first came along with its 1 megabyte block. So to think that 1 megabyte's the right size for forever, that's just insanity. So anyhow, the progression there, Bitcoin XT from Gavin Andreessen and Mike Hearn. For those that don't know, Mike Hearn is another one of these early Bitcoin supporters that did a lot for Bitcoin and basically got driven from the ecosystem by this Bitcoin 1 megabyte forever toxicity, who had previously been a professional capacity planner at Google. You don't get to be a professional capacity planner at Google if you don't know a thing or two about capacity planning. And he was there sounding the alarm bell, saying, hey, we are going to run into this scaling capacity for Bitcoin if we don't raise the block size. And they came up with this, platform to do it. And I was a supporter of that. And then that eventually through, social media trolling and toxicity eventually failed. Same kind of story with the attacks on Bitcoin Classic. And then the final attempt was this one called SegWit2x, where I wasn't there in person, and I kind of like to think I wouldn't have been fooled by the agreement to allow SegWit to activate first. I think the SegWit and the 2 megabyte block size increase should have happened at the same time. But the agreement that came together in New York with a bunch of people and one of my representatives was that SegWit would activate first, and then a couple of months later, the block size would be increased to 2 megabytes. And pretty much every mining pool and every business in the world was on board with this. 99% of all the businesses out there, serving 99% of the users. And everything seemed like it was on track and it was going to happen. And then the SegWit part activated. And then as soon as the SegWit part activated, all these social media trolls came out of the woodwork everywhere online and social media attacking the 2 megabyte part. And I think the other businesses basically acted like a bunch of cowards. I think they should have gone through with it and still done the 2 megabyte part. But the other businesses backed down and chickened out and didn't go through with the 2 megabyte part. And I had said publicly before, if the 2 megabyte part fails, I'm going to switch all of my attention and my investing and my economic force, my economic activities to promoting Bitcoin Cash. And when SegWit2x failed, that's exactly what I did with Bitcoin.com and my time and my effort and my resources. And Bitcoin Cash is clearly it's the second most used cryptocurrency in the entire world. A lot of people don't know this, but Bitcoin Cash moves more money just about every single day than any other chain. BTC is number 1, Bitcoin Cash is number 2, ahead of even Ethereum.